This weekend was UFC 306, O'Malley versus Dvalishvili. Incredible fights through and through up until the co-main and main event. But I'm going to go through and matchmake a lot of the key fighters from this card. Not going to be every single fighter, that would take way too long, but most of the key fighters that fought on this card, I have their next opponent on screen in front of me. And we're going to start with the early prelim opener of Rosas Jr. He defeated Orochi Long 29-28, not very impressive as a minus 1,000 favorite. You'd like him to get him out of there, ideally. But, you know, a win's a win, so I'm not going to hate on him too much. And he wants to become the youngest UFC champion. And if he wants to do that, he's going to have to take a big step up in competition. So I've matched him up with a guy just outside the rankings. And if he wins this one, he gets a shot inside the rankings. I originally was thinking Pedro Munoz, but I forgot he is currently booked against Amian Zahabi. So instead, I've booked him against Chris Gutierrez. Now, I think this is a really good fight because this is easily Raul Rosas Jr.'s toughest fight in his career. Chris Gutierrez is no joke. He's coming off a win over an absolute bot. I can't remember his name, but he was one of those road to the UFC guys. Damn, I can't remember his name. But he beat him, and he looked very lackluster, kind of similar to Raul Rosas Jr., a fight where you would expect him to have a great performance. He kind of disappointed. Raul Rosas Jr. kind of disappointed. So I think this is a good fight to make. Gets Raul Rosas Jr. a chance to fight in the rankings, and Chris Gutierrez gets a chance to derail the hype train of Raul Rosas Jr. So Raul Rosas Jr. versus Chris Gutierrez, that's the fight to make, I think, in my opinion. Next fight on the card, I'm matching up Joshua Van. He got a big win over Edgar Shirez this weekend. Took a little bit of damage, got dropped, but also whooped on Edgar Shirez in round 2. Nearly finished him, and then also got finished nearly himself in round 2. But anyway, really great fight. One of the best fights on the card. And flyweight is really shallow. It's hard to find anyone outside the rankings. And, you know, he did just lose to Charles Johnson, who's unranked. But, I mean, you look at the rankings, like Matt Schnell just retired. Asu Almabayev's looking to fight up. Cody Durden's not going to fight down the rankings. Bruno Silva's not fighting down. Maybe you can rebook the Ulanbekov fight. But I've matched him against number 10, Tim Elliott. Big step up in competition, I understand. But, as far as I know, Tim Elliott's still active. I don't think he's retired. And I haven't heard anything about Tim Elliott in a minute. So give Josh Van a chance to get into the top 10. I mean, maybe you give him another unranked opponent, but I mean, at this point, flyweight is so shallow that you might as well give the guy that's kind of a star and has star potential a chance to get in the rankings. I mean, they were already going to do that with Tagir Ulanbekov matchup, with the Tagir Ulanbekov matchup. But that fight fell apart, so why not just give him another ranked opponent? I mean, Tagir Ulanbekov is ranked 11th, so what's the difference between him versus Van and Elliott versus Van? So I'd say do Tim Elliott versus Josh Van, give Van a chance to fight in the rankings. Next fight on the card, Ignasio Bahamndez got a big win over Manuel Torres, KO in round 1. Just put a beating on Manuel Torres. This guy looks really good, man. He looks really good on the feet. I'm not sure if any of these like middle of the pack unranked lightweights are going to be able to stand with Bahamndez. He is very accurate, very powerful, long, rangy striker at lightweight. And I've matched him up against a grappler in Thiago Moises. I think Thiago Moises will be a good test of Bahamndez's grappling. And Moises is a pretty tough guy to put away. We just saw him get dropped a couple times by Ludovic Klein, who beat Bahamndez earlier in his career. So you get a chance to look more impressive against Moises than Ludovic Klein did, which is going to be hard because Ludovic Klein put on a really good fight against Moises. Dropped him in round 1 and round 3, I think. I don't know. He was whooping on Moises. I know that. He's tough. He's durable. He's a hard guy to put away. You can crack him and rock him, but he's pretty hard to finish. So if Bahamndez can go out there and get a round 1, round 2 KO over Thiago Moises, I think that would be a very, very impressive win. And it would also test his grappling a little bit. So I like that fight for Bahamndez. I think that's the fight to make. Next fight on the card, Esteban Ribovich got a big win, split decision win over Danielzel Huber as an underdog. This was one of the best fights of the year. This fight was incredible. Both guys going back and forth, especially the third round. Both guys got dropped. Or no, both the guys didn't get dropped, but Ribovich got dropped. But he also rocked and wobbled Zel Huber really bad and almost finished him. Nearly finished him. Super close to finishing him. But he got that one done. And for Esteban Ribovich, he's coming off wins over Terrence McKinney and now Danielzel Huber. So I think you give him a slightly bigger step up. And I've got him matched up against Merab Dvalishvili, coming off a win over Jordan Vucinic, who stepped in on short notice. So I say Esteban Ribovich, Merab Dvalishvili, going to be a stand-up fight. Both these guys are really good strikers. Merab is pretty powerful, but he is able to be broken and worn down by guys with power, and Esteban Ribovich has a lot of power and he's able to push a really good pace. So this is a really tough fight for Merab, and this is a really good name to have on your resume if you're Esteban Ribovich. You can have Terrence McKinney, Danielzel Huber, and then Merab Dvalishvili. That's a really good 3-fight streak of 3 really impressive names. Maybe not so much Terrence McKinney, but still, that's 3 really good wins in a row against actual, like, really talented fighters. So I say Ribovich, Dvalishvili. I like that matchup a lot. I think that makes sense for Ribovich. And as for the loser, Danielzel Huber, tough fight. Could have gone his way. Very close. Split decision. But I say you match him up with another loser on this card, Manuel Torres. Manuel Torres, of course, just lost to Ignasio Bahamndez. Got brutally chinned in round 1. Danielzel Huber's not a guy with like one-punch KO power. He's more of a, volume striker. He's going to piece you up and kind of pick you apart for a decision. He's not really going to put you away with one punch like Bahamndez is going to do. And I think it would be interesting to see how Danielzel Huber deals with the pressure and the volume and the strength and the power of Manuel Torres. He's similar to Esteban Ribovich, who was able to hurt Danielzel Huber bad. Manuel Torres can do the same thing, and Danielzel Huber might not have the sniping ability like Bahamndez has to put away Manuel Torres. So it'd be interesting to see if Danielzel Huber could deal with the pressure of Manuel Torres and see if Manuel Torres could get by the super technical striking of Danielzel Huber. So I'd like to see that one. I think that makes sense. And for the next fight on the card, we have Diego Lopez beat Brian Ortega in the feature fight of the card. He looked really good. He beat up on Ortega bad, beat him for all 3 rounds, dropped him really bad early in round 1. Overhand right, looked like it put him out cold, and then the left hook woke him up. It was bad. Super powerful, super athletic, super big for featherweight. He's powerful, good grappling, good striking, good chin, good cardio. He looks like he has it all, and he looks like a dangerous contender at featherweight. And I hate to do this, but Alexander Volkanovski, your time has come. It's over for you, buddy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry we have to do this, but I think Alexander Volkanovski makes the most sense for Diego Lopez next. Either that or you're looking at maybe the winner of Sterling versus Evloev. But I don't know. I like the Volkanovski matchup more. I don't think he should fight Topuria right away. I know he's undefeated at featherweight until the Topuria loss. But I don't want to see him go back in there against Topuria right away. I want to see him get a little, see if he's still got it. Give him a young, hungry contender. And especially if Topuria and Holloway go to war and, the winner of that's going to be out, 6-8 months, who knows. I'd like to see Volk be a little active because, it's been a minute since he's been KO'd now. He got KO'd in February. So he's had a lot of time off. I think he could get a fight in early next year. And I think Diego Lopez is the perfect opponent. Really test if Diego Lopez is a true championship contender, because Alexander Volkanovski is not somebody you're just going to run through. Even though Topuria made it look easy, Volkanovski is still very talented. He is still a long-time reigning champion, one of the greatest of all time. So I think this would be a really good test for Diego Lopez, and I'd love to see that next. As for the loser, Brian Ortega, I know you're asking what's next for Brian Ortega. Well, I'm glad you asked. Arnold Allen. We haven't seen Arnold Allen versus Brian Ortega. I'd like to see that. I think this is a really good fight. It's the only thing that really makes sense. Yair Rodriguez, they literally just fought. Arnold Allen just beats Giga Chikadze. give him a step into the step up into the rankings. His only losses are to Max Holloway and Movsar Evloev, so I think this makes sense. Brian Ortega fight down in the rankings. Arnold Allen gets a chance to move up a little bit. And if he beats Brian Ortega, that puts him in position for a #1 contender fight. And for Brian Ortega, it's not a guy with super crazy power like Diego Lopez. Arnold Allen does have decent power, but, you know, he's not going to flatline you or rock you like Diego Lopez did in their fight. But he's quick, he's bouncy, he's hard to hit. And I think Brian Ortega could have success in the striking. He didn't look awful against Diego Lopez. He was landing good shots. There's just such a massive power difference there. And with Arnold Allen, I think the power difference is much, much closer. So I think that would be a really fun fight to see. Arnold Allen, move him up the rankings and give him a fight against Brian Ortega. I like that a lot. Main event, we'll start with the winner because it's far more obvious. Merab Dvalishvili beats Sean O'Malley. It's Umar. Not a lot needs to be said. He was at the Sphere. Joe Rogan literally said, Umar is probably next for you. They panned to Umar. You know, it's going to be Umar. This one makes all the sense in the world. I don't need to explain to you why Merab and Umar's next. You already know this. So for the loser, Sean O'Malley, there's a couple fights that I could see people saying. I could see people saying the Piotr Jan rematch. I could see people saying Figueiredo. But for me, I've matched him up against Corey Sandhagen. Both of them are coming off losses now. And I think it's now or never for this fight. This is the fight everyone's wanting to see, even though I think Sean O'Malley destroys him. He's a much more powerful striker. I think now's the time you do it, man. The problem is, Jan is looking at a rematch, and I don't really want to see a rematch for Jan. I want to see Jan face a fresh opponent. So that would rule out O'Malley, and that would rule out Sandhagen. I think you do Jan versus Figgy, and that only leaves Sandhagen versus O'Malley, which is also a really fun fight, and I think that fight makes a lot of sense. So I think you do Jan, Figgy, O'Malley, Sandhagen, and then the winners can fight each other. I think that makes a lot of sense. Winner of Sandhagen and O'Malley fights the winner of Figgy versus Jan, and then the winner of that gets a title shot. I think that makes a lot of sense. But those are the fights I have booked after UFC 306. Let me know what you guys think. What do you agree with, disagree with? Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.